What's up, everyone? Okay, so today I'm going to talk about menstrual cups, and that might freak you out a little bit, but just bear with me and hear what I have to say. So, tampons are a little sketchy, and I don't know, I've always felt a little bit weird about them, but recently, in the past few years, I've learned more and more about tampons, and it's crazy that you don't know all of this like when you're starting your period. Like, I just don't understand why periods are this thing that's like it happens to you and everyone's really like hushed about it, and like even my mom didn't really explain it to me. Like, I remember my friend Kelsey in like the like third grade or something told me about periods, and that's how I learned about them. And I remember asking my mom, I was like, so Kelsey told me this thing, and you bleed, and what? And my mom was so mad that she told me about it. She was like, it's not her place to tell you this, and blah, blah, blah. So she, like, had the talk with me about periods, and I just remember being, like, really weirded out, and I was like, but why? Like, why does this happen to us, and what does it mean? And I don't know. And so I remember like the day that I started my period, like my first one ever, I was so scared and I was really dramatic, and I just like sat in the bathroom on the floor and was like, here it is. And so and I felt like embarrassed to tell my mom that I started. I don't know why. Like, why is there this like weird thing about periods? I don't understand. Like, it should be, oh, it's gonna die. Should be this thing where like it's like almost celebrated. Like, this beautiful thing is happening in your body, and it's like a cycle, and you can tie it with the moon and like whatever. But instead, it's like you have to keep this quiet, and people will shame you about it, and I don't understand. But anyways, that was my rant on that. So tampons are a little confusing, and I remember freaking out the first time I used one. I was like, I don't really want this inside of me, but I have to. And there's a weird little diagram that comes in the box in like a little pamphlet, and there's like this tiny little wording that says like, oh, using tampons can increase your risk for TSS. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm 12. Like, okay, maybe was I 12? Yeah, okay, I was 12. Um, so I didn't really understand what that meant, and it didn't really have any concern for me. Like, I just was like, whatever, everyone uses this. It's not gonna happen to me. I don't even know what it means. Um, but even recently, there's been a article like floating around Facebook and everything about this model that she got toxic shock syndrome from using tampons, and she had to have her leg amputated. And I honestly had no idea that it could even cause that. Like, and I'm 21 years old. Like, and I used tampons from when I started my period up until like 2 years ago. No, yes, 2 years ago. Um, so that's a little concerning. Like, people don't understand the risk, and I think that's honestly terrifying. So also, okay, so basically, how tampons cause it's so hard to say, TSS, is they absorb, and so that creates this like perfect little breeding ground for nasty bacteria that's all up inside you, and I mean pads as well though, because they're just collecting, like, I mean, absorbing, and so it increases your risk for this toxic shock syndrome that can be deadly, and so that's number one reason why tampons are bad. Number two is that they're doused in chemicals like chlorine and bleach, and they're linked to cervical cancer. So are pads. And they contribute to waste because, what are you going to do with them besides throw them away or flush them down the toilet? So those are all aspects of why tampons and pads are not okay for you and not okay for the environment. And tampons are actually not cruelty free if you're a vegan. I mean, some brands could be if they say it on the package, or you can research. Like, I know that there's some like organic tampon brands and whatever, but they are tested on animals, which is horrible. And it really sickens me that people would test tampons on animals, but they do. So, if you live a cruelty-free lifestyle and you're still using tampons, I highly recommend looking into that aspect of it. But so that brings me to the menstrual cup. I have two, and I want to tell you a little bit about both of them. The first one that I ever got was called the Diva Cup, and I remember looking at it when I got it. I ordered it online, and I was so scared. I was like, this thing is ginormous. I got the smallest size because I haven't given birth and I haven't had sex, so I was like, oh, it'll be fine. And so this thing came and it's super stiff, and I was just like really concerned. But I wanted to try it really bad because I didn't want to use tampons anymore. And so the first day that I used it, I was going to hang out with a friend, and it was only for a little bit. So I was like, okay, this will be perfect. Like, I'll just put it in and then go hang out with him and then come home and take it out. So I put it in, and so like the way that, I don't know why I just put this back, but so it comes in this little case too. The way that you like insert it is like there's different fold techniques. So this is the one that I like. You just kind of like press one side down and then fold in the sides. So it kind of like resembles a tampon sort of shape. And so I figured that out, and I got it inside of me, and it creates like this little like suction, and it's kind of like a really weird feeling, especially with this one because it's so stiff. So it's like, ah! And so I got it in, and then I went and hung out with my friend, and the stem thing is super long. So I remember like feeling it, and I was like, whoa, like I don't know how I feel about that. And you can trim it though. I didn't know that. So I hung out with him for a little bit, and then I was like, I feel weird. Like I want this out of me, and so I left and I went home, and getting it out of me was like traumatizing. Like I had no idea what I was doing, and I was kind of confused about the whole like seal suction thing happening, and so I just like I had to like reach up and get it because it like kind of like went up, and I had to like pull the little stem thingy, and I didn't understand that you're supposed to like when you get it. How do I keep putting it back in this thing? So when it's inside and you're getting it out, you're supposed to like pinch this part so it breaks the suction, but I didn't know that. So I'm literally just like pulling this thing, and it's hurting, and I feel like I'm giving birth, and I finally got it out of me, and I didn't even care about spilling blood, so there's blood everywhere, and I'm laying on the bathroom floor, and I'm like literally like feeling like I'm about to pass out, and that's not how this should be. So I just thought that I wasn't used to it, and I would get used to it, so I like kept trying, but every time I tried, it was like the same thing was happening. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out, and I was always like laying on the floor, like it probably looked really pathetic, but so I read a little bit more because I was like, this can't be right, and so for some reason I didn't understand that there were like different brands of these, and so I just thought this was like the thing, like the Diva Cup, and so I began looking into more brands, and I found that people who had issues with the Diva Cup were particularly fond of this brand called Sckoon. I think that's how you say it. It's Sckoon. So I thought that I would give that a try, and so it came, and it's super cute and tiny. It's not tiny, but it's, a whole lot smaller than this thing. And it's way more squishy, and, like, look at this. Yeah. And so, it came, and it's, like, a fun yellow color, and it's got this, like, weird little stem, but a lot of people, like, cut them off, but I don't mind this stem, and I think it's easier to get out this way. But Yeah, so the first time that I used this, I was so nervous, and I was like, I hope this is like better. But yeah, so this one has been way more chill, and it's really easy to get in and especially to get out because that was really my problem. Um, but yeah, so like getting it out, I mean, to get it in, you just do the same little fold thingy, pressing in one side. Or some people like just fold it like this, but that's a little bit too big for me. So I like to just press in one side and like create like a little shape like that. And then it like suctions. And if it doesn't suction, like you should like feel it suction. And if not, you just pull on this thing a little bit and it'll kind of like fix itself. But so yeah, so then it collects and you can keep it in for longer than a tampon. You can keep it in for like 12 hours. And then to get it out, you just, like, I kind of like pull it down a little bit with this thing and then like squeeze this part to like release the suction and then just like get it out. Um, you do have to get used to these. Like, it's a very weird thing, but so were tampons for me. I mean, I'm pretty sure like that's a really weird thing for anyone to experience for the first time. So you just have to get used to it and like figure out your body and what cup works best for you and what fold and everything about that. And yeah, but it really gets you like in touch with yourself and in touch with your cycle, and I think that's a really cool thing. And also you can like see how much you're bleeding, which with tampons you can't really do that. So I think that that was a really cool aspect of using a menstrual cup. And so yeah, these don't have any risk of TSS because they just collect, they don't absorb, and you just clean it by like boiling water, throwing it in, letting it hang out for a little bit, and yeah. So I mean, like throughout the day, like I like a one of my heaviest days, I can wear this for like 12 hours, and usually, actually, usually around like hour like 10, I need to empty it. But that's like a really long time, you know? So, like, I'll go to school and I usually won't have to change it until like my last hour that I'm at school. Um, so, it's really nice and it's really not even that difficult to do it at school or in a public bathroom. What I do is I carry like a water bottle with me, and so I'll like get it out, dump it in the toilet, and then pour water in it and like rinse it out so I don't have to like go out into like the where people are washing their hands and be like, oh, just rinsing out my menstrual cup. Like, so yeah, so just bring water with you and rinse it out over the toilet and it'll be clean. And yeah, so that's how you use it. And I really, really encourage you to look into it because it's super weird, but it's really cool once you like get the hang of it. And it comes in these little pouches that you keep them in while you're not using it. And there's a bunch of brands, so just look at all of them, read reviews. That was really helpful for me when deciding to buy a new one. And yeah, so I hope that you reclaim your period and it empowers you and you kind of learn. Like, I just think it's really cool how there's like such a big cycle throughout the month and like the changes in your cervix and like just how it even impacts like your mood and like your attitudes and everything about that. And it's really interesting to learn about all that stuff. And I feel like I should have known this so long ago, but I'm just now like discovering all of this, and it's just really interesting. And so I really do want you to learn about your body and learn about everything that goes along with bleeding and like your cycle and all of this. And so I'm going to stop rambling about this, but I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any questions whatsoever about my experience or anything you want to know, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to talk about it, and I hope that you have a good day.